Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. This is episode 70. We are recording this episode on August 14th at 10:30 a.m. After a 2-week hiatus, we are hopefully going to be back every week from here on out. As always, joined by the best sports card co-host in the business, Mr. Bunk. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Oh boy, I'm good, man. How are you? Is the big question.
Well, I
The
guess
people want to know.
the people want to know. I guess we'll give everybody a more detailed update here. We kept it kind of vague before we went on hiatus. I was diagnosed with bone cancer back in June. I went in for surgery on that July 14th. I went back in for a second surgery due to a complication, and unfortunately that caused a airway infection, and I was coughing my head off for the last couple of weeks, so we couldn't jump back on here. I am going in for another surgery tomorrow, Monday, August 15th. It's just a minor touch-up, I guess you could say. They didn't unfortunately get everything in the first procedure. So I'll be in the hospital another couple days, but we're going to record 2 episodes today and drop those. The first one will drop today. The second one will drop next Saturday as usually scheduled. And then I should be back and able to record again in a couple of weeks. So overall, doing okay. Just grinding my way through this and doing the best I can. So we'll keep it moving, keep it light from here on out. Some Sports Card Advantage podcast business. The 2 main things that I need to catch up on is the Fantasy League and the T-shirts. All that stuff is still moving forward. We had 14 people respond for Fantasy League, so we're going to take 12. So if the 2 guys that are 13 and 14, if any of the first 12 bow out, we'll get you in. I'll be responding to everybody by email hopefully today. We'll try to set up a draft date and get that going. T-shirts, just give me a little bit more patience on that. A couple weeks, I'll have everything up on the website. For those of you that, the 5 people that we chose for free shirts, we'll get those out to you. Just appreciate the patience. This thing hit me a lot harder than I anticipated, and I got knocked down for longer than I originally thought. So we'll get all that stuff rolling. September will be a fresh start, and we'll get everything back on schedule and on time for the podcast. With that said, Mr. Bunk, do you have any Sports Card Advantage podcast business?
Nah, man, I knocked that out of the park a couple weeks ago.
Yep, it was fantastic. The solo episode was well received, and well enough received that we had at least one person write in saying that you should be doing solo episodes every week, and that I'm mean to you, and I need to be nicer to you and to stop picking on you during episodes. So we had
let's start that today.
Yeah, we had one Bunk
Got a new action plan.
Yeah, we had one Bunk super fan that wanted to see me get kicked off the podcast and just have you being solo going forward.
I gotta try not to make you laugh today.
Yeah, I know. For those of you, I apologize in advance. I may cough a little bit. I'm still getting over this infection. So hopefully, so far so good.
Well, it's good to have you back, because for as much as I'm invested in the hobby forever, since I was 3 years old, I have a new level of reconnection to it, thanks to our friendship and our relationship in this podcast. And honestly, for the last 2 weeks, I've been a little bit more disconnected than I usually am from the hobby, because I wasn't talking to you in this kind of variety or this kind of platform. So I am excited to get back on here and chat it up with you.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely missed being on the pod and talking through everything and keeping up with everything. So without further ado, we're a few weeks behind everybody else's review of National, but screw it, this is where we're at. You attended your first National. So why don't you, is in Atlantic City? Why don't you give us your impressions? What did you like? What did you not like? What did you buy? Just give us the rundown.
Yeah, it's funny. You just asking me what I didn't like. I don't know that there's something very specific that I did not like that I can say. I mean,
Well,
layout was good. The place is massive, 100% overwhelming. The second you walk through the door, you're like, where do I even start? Um, I got in early with the VIP ticket, the half hour early. So just logistically, my plan was okay. I see everyone walking in and just immediately stopping at tables. I just said, well, let me just bolt for the back of the room where nobody will be for 20 minutes. So that's what I did. And I started making my way forward. But just insane. Just insane the amount of stuff people have out. Just insane some of the setups I saw there. I mean,
well,
dudes didn't just have tabletop cases. Some of them brought their actual like store display cases and had those lugged in. I can't even imagine the money spent just getting set up, getting to there and getting set up. I mean, it must have been insane.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so, you said that there wasn't anything that you didn't like, but there was a pretty large commentary online of Atlantic City Never Again. And people were complaining about Atlantic City and the location. I don't know if it was just the lack of cell reception and Wi-Fi, um,
Which
or
I
there,
had I
or
was fine with. I didn't tap into Atlantic City's Wi-Fi. I have a mobile carrier that people always make fun of me for having, and I was fine. So I didn't experience that, so I can't speak to that.
and
It may be a little slower, but that's what happens when you got thousands of people in the same building. But it worked.
yeah, yeah,
But what
absolutely.
kinds of things were people complaining
I,
about?
I think the biggest complaint and the biggest beef was obviously if you have no Wi-Fi and no cell reception, it's impossible to try and make deals. You're literally shooting from the hip. You're not able to, look up comps, and somebody, either the dealer or the buyer, is going to be at an extreme disadvantage. And I think most of the vendors probably paid the $80 for the Wi-Fi, which is insanity.
Yeah.
But you got to figure that if you just spent, probably tens of thousands of dollars to set up at the show, you spent the $80 on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I mean, it was 50-50 in terms of dealers checking comps. I mean, some dudes definitely knew exactly where they were at on every card, and knew what they wanted. So, if I got into a conversation, I tend not to stand right at the table and look up comps right in front of you. That's just not my thing. I try to see, identify a few things that I'm interested in, and I'll go take a walk, and I'll bring myself up to speed on what's there. But then when you engage with some of the guys, if they immediately pull out their phone on me, like that the dealer pulls out the phone on me, I'll know ahead of time, is that going to be to my advantage or not to my advantage? Because I know the comp now. You clearly don't because you're looking it up, which is fine. You got tons of stuff and a lot going on. But I found the cards I was able to purchase straight up with easy deals. No one looked up anything at the table. I knew what I wanted to pay. They had the stuff tagged, priced. I made my offer. I got yeses. So I mean, it was as simple as that. A lot of people were just like, my price is my price. There's nothing to negotiate here unless you're going to take 20 cards from me.
So
But
yeah, let's talk about that as far as where
yeah,
people were priced, because I know a lot of speculation going into this was the hobby has taken an absolute beating as far as value is concerned over the last year. Everything shot up in 2021, and then literally end of summer, fall really started to come down. So people were speculating that as everything has trailed downward over the last 8 to 12 months, that dealers were into some of this stuff for high prices and we're going to be trying to unload it for high prices. Did you find that to be the case?
I found that to be the case on the tables. Like, I appreciate when everything has a price on it when I'm looking around and browsing, because that gives me a general idea of where that person's at on everything. Because you got to assume they, whatever means by which they price everything, they did it across the board. Um, uh, and then what I totally lost my train of thought what you were asking me, but yeah, I appreciated when everything was tagged priced because then I could go from there. What I did find was, to answer your question, was the all the tables that had no pricing on them. Those tend to, you ask them, okay, well, what do you need on this? And they just, it's not like it was on the back of the card and they flipped it over and had a price. They just threw out a number at you. So
Well,
I found those to be on the higher side. whether they just didn't know. I find it hard to believe you memorized every price of every card in your display case, but they would just look at it and say, "Oh, this," and then they tended to always be well off what I was looking for.
Gotcha. And were you able to run into or talk to any either guests that we've had on the pod or hobby influencers, hobby celebrities, people that you were looking to talk to?
I was able to talk to Chris from Nash Carts. Stopped by his booth. Saw
Nice.
him a few times there. Yeah, they had quite the operation running there. Fully packed, all in their cool T-shirts. So that was pretty cool. A few other people I stopped by. They were just off site doing other things, setting up for other events. I did speak with a number of people who I've sold cards to, traded cards to, and just talked hobby stuff over the last couple of years in particular. So that was nice to put a face to a name.
First time you met them in person?
First time meeting them in person, right?
Awesome.
And already making plans for future shows, especially in the Northeast here.
Awesome. And getting to the most important part of this, how much dollar box hunting did you do, and what did you buy during the show?
Yeah, so that was interesting too. A lot of people like the dollar box hunter shirt.
Nice.
A lot of the dudes watching me rifle through their boxes just rolled their eyes at me. But for the most part, I'd say the people that had that stuff in there, they were willing to move that stuff. So I rifled through, made a stack. As you're making stacks, they also take as many as you take. I'll take more off the price. So I don't mess with that. I don't let them count and give me a price. I know what I pulled out, and half the time the stuff labeled $4, $5, $3. They're all dollar cards.
Yeah.
They make you think they're a bargain. They don't know that I'm going through their card. So I took out what I want. I said what I was comfortable paying. I think every single one accepted what I had offered on the pile, which was more than reasonable. Except one dude was like, "Hey, I need a few more bucks." So, but there was something in there I wanted, so I paid it. So and that's good for me because usually, and I've said this before, I've been guilty of it in the past. Don't haggle over a few bucks. If it's a few bucks, just pay it. It's not like I'm buying thousands of dollars of cards from these bins. I'm buying $1, $2, $3 cards. Some that I found that are way more that they misplaced. So I'm proud of myself for not being the guy that said, "Nope, can't do that. You're $3.25 over." So I still got a deal on the listed price, so I moved forward. Okay. So I got tons of stuff I found a bunch of set needs, new set needs, stuff I can meet. I must have took about 100 cards out of bins of that nature. I've identified probably 40 or 50 I can get rid of. I'll make money, and then I have 40 to 50 free cards left that I'm going to put into sets and PCs and stuff of that nature. And so that was awesome. I spent hours doing that.
Any cards that you would consider highlights that the people will care about other than the dollar cards that you bought?
No, I picked up a Soto slab. I picked up a Soto auto. I picked up a Jeter rookie card slabbed. All three I think I got really good prices on. Minimal negotiation. Just, hey, here's what I'm paying, and took it immediately. So those are the big highlights. Those are the main guys I was looking for.
That was Soto before the trade, so that was good.
That was Soto before the trade, yeah. I think we'll speak to that a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. Some foreshadowing for those of you.
Yeah, but the other highlight of National was I can't get over. We've been talking about the number of kids involved in the hobby now, and the number of kids that have social media influence in the hobby and such. There were kids everywhere. They're all walking around with their fancy, card cases, carriers, and stacks of $100 bills. I mean, I was in the VIP lounge a couple times. There were kids behind me making $8,000, $10,000 deals right in front of me. Yeah. Cash/trades, and the kids were talking about how they fleeced old dudes at the trade night, and I mean, it was hysterical. I mean, I don't know how much they collect. Most of
these kids, I think you have it's the same as adults. Most of these kids, you either have collectors that are getting, hobby retail boxes from their parents at Target, and then you have these kids that are flipping, and some of them are just on that higher level.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a handful of those. We're just straight up flipping stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A kid walked in with one. He's like, "I just picked this up. I'm going over to aisle 1100 or something. There's a dude that wants this." And I didn't hear the rest of the conversation, but he was going to make X number of dollars in a half hour.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are guys that watch like Ken Fornos and Roth, and they see them during shows that are just basically, moving the cards from one person to another, and they talk to a couple people and hear what they're looking for, and then they go scurry off and find it and get it for 20% less, and just flip it to them, and then those guys don't have to run around, or they don't have the time to run around, and they make 10-20% on the card for doing nothing other than buying it and selling it.
Yeah. Yeah, most of those most of the bigger people had like entourages around them. Ryan CC2 had a entourage walk and follow him all the time. Saw Gary V was doing his thing at somebody's booth. I didn't catch whose.
Yeah,
I did stop.
Gary seemed very accessible during the show. I saw a bunch of.
You could get to him if you wanted to, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that sounds ominous, but yes.
To talk to him. Jeez, dude. I stopped in at a couple breakers I've been breaking with over the last couple of years. I stopped in, talked to Ben at Midwest Box Breaks. I stopped in at Chris at Top Shelf Breaks. So that was cool to talk to them. But yeah, just a good time. I mean, I was wandering for a while. Yeah. No doubt wandering around.
Okay. Any final thoughts on National? Will you be looking to make the trip out to Chicago next year? Do you feel it's worth going to on a yearly basis?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Like, it's just really cool to go and really cool to say you went. So then you got to factor in, okay, well, what's it going to cost me to get there? And am I going to have the same kind of walk away feeling like I did from Atlantic City if I pay to fly out to Chicago, stay in Chicago, fly back, that sort of thing. My main goal from a personal level going to Chicago is that gets me closer to the Cincinnati Reds and Adam Dunn's beginning. Geez. So I did not see one Adam Dunn card at National, nor will I see one in Chicago. But you never know. You're closer to the hometown area there, so maybe I get lucky.
Guy, if we road trip, we can drive through Cincinnati on the way.
Yeah, that's what I'd have to do. But I would go back, absolutely. Just from the pure, people I met, knew while I was there, further relationships with people I've already known. If a number of those people are all heading out, it's definitely something I'd highly consider doing.
All right.
Certainly nothing where I'm saying no shot. And I would absolutely go to Atlantic City again. I found that absolutely a piece of cake. Uber there, Uber back. I don't know if they were complaining about parking there or the food there and the lines there, whatever it is. But listen, there's a billion people in one section. You got to give some. Not everything's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, it was fun.
There was plenty to complain about Chicago last year. I mean, Chicago was packed. The air conditioning did not work all that well. You were sweating your ass off inside the...
Damn. Yeah, no, Atlantic City was fine.
Yeah,
I was sweating because I sweat, not because it was hot.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago last year was a freaking sweat box, and it's the same type of scenario. There's always going to be, when you put 100,000 people in a room at the same time, there's always going to be stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we will move it right along here. So obviously, also we're a couple weeks late on this, but we'll talk about it anyway. MLB trade deadline came and went. So we're just going to talk about the hobby impact of this. Where guys wound up. Is it better or worse for them hobby wise? I believe you put together some highlights for this. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, I got a couple things. It's actually not as exciting as you would expect, but I think it's relevant hobby and market points.
Yeah, I mean, there was a ton of trades and stuff that went down. It's just a question of whether or not it has any hobby impact. We're not going to talk about the sports impact of it. We just care about the hobby impact. So walk us through what you have for highlights, and I'll try to bring up those cards on Market Movers or Card Letter.
Yeah, the first two you're not going to find. I just want to knock out the pitchers first, but Frankie Montas goes to the Yankees. You think he's moving to a bigger market. It's not like he's a world beater to begin with, but there's been no impact whatsoever on his Chrome rookie card autos since his move to New York. Luis Castillo goes to the Seattle Mariners, rumored to go almost everywhere. Same thing with him. There's been almost no impact on his Chrome rookie card autos whatsoever. Whether it's pitchers, I don't know, but I figured if anything, maybe Montas get a bump just because he's in a bigger market. But he's gonna have to pitch for a while longer and take the Yankees deeper into the playoffs to get any bump on him. And listen, the Mariners are playing well, and no change on Luis Castillo either. I mean, I don't know how much more favorable the Seattle market is compared to the Cincinnati market, to be honest with you. But two big time arms at the deadline, and I'd say zero hobby impact whatsoever.
All right. What else you got?
I mean, the biggest thing to go to is honestly the Padres deal. Um, Josh Bell, nice player, but again, he's already 30. His career numbers aren't great. So maybe Josh Bell fans, get a little excited. He's going to a team that can win. Because remember, Josh Bell came in from Pittsburgh after they'd won the World Series, so he doesn't have a World Series on his belt there. No impact whatsoever on his cards. Juan Soto, he had more of an impact. Now, remember, he's a part of this 2018 class, super high rookie card population, PSA 10 pops. He had more of an impact leading up to the deadline and maybe immediately following. He saw some good spikes on his Topps Update card, his Heritage card, his Bowman's Best card, all PSA 10s, all pretty high pops. Leading up to the deadline, got a nice spike, a little bit following, and have already come back down. They're almost a handful of them are almost back to where they were, say June, July, before the rumors started kicking in. I think the biggest impact for Soto here is maybe, he's got a World Series already. Padres, minus the Tatis news, which we'll get to. The Padres seemingly are going to be, in the mix every year now. So the only thing going to save Soto prices this year are going to be how far can they go in the playoffs, and does he kick absolute ass in San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, some of his stuff is maintaining some growth. I mean, back in July, his update card, for example, was selling for $75. Last sale was $123. Yesterday, his what else? His Chrome stuff. His more expensive, like his Topps Chrome Sapphire, that shot up right after the trade, but as you said, it has come back down. His Topps Chrome, some of that stuff has seen a little bit of growth and maintained it, but the biggest, I guess, is as far as his just regular stuff is the update.
Yeah, and the problem with the update, it's got 21K on the pop.
Yeah.
So yeah, it went from the 75 and went up, but there's been a few sales, I think even lower than that. Even his Heritage is only 6,600, still huge in my opinion, but it's 6,600. It went from a $50-$60 card, boom, trade deadline, $110 card, and the last sale was already back down to 60 on it. So I just don't know, even with this kind of news, when with pops this high, how much more growth you can have.
Well, I think there's one. I mean, I think if you look at some of his refractors, like for example, if you look at his 2018 Topps Chrome Update pink refractor, pop on that 721 back in mid-July, 692. Last sale on that's 1,050. So and that was all within the last few days as far as the last sale,
and that's a completely different animal. Anything refractor or better, we've been seeing has been trending well, holding value or going up. People are chasing scarcity right now, 100%.
I mean, even if you look at his Topps Chrome Update base PSA 10, last sale yesterday was 213. This was selling for as low as 155-ish in July a month ago. So, I mean, that's a 50% bump.
Yeah, if you're already holding it, sure.
Yeah.
But are you buying at 220 right now?
No, I'm not buying it now. Yeah. I'm just saying, he got a fairly sizable bump.
No, 100%. So I think any impact you see from this trade deadline, if it's Soto, I think it probably already happened.
Yeah,
I don't
100%.
See it.
And then the only other bump you will see as a result is if they win the World Series.
Correct.
And it probably will not. I mean, they may not even make the playoffs this year. So
never know. Yep.
So that's going to be,
which could make for a great off-season Soto buying.
Yeah, you could definitely see people dump as a result of the trade, and then the Tatis news. So we'll see. And then the flip side of that,
there's more to his story coming for sure.
Yeah, the flip side of that is all the young guys that San Diego traded to Washington.
Yep. So they got the mini Aaron Judge and James Wood, who got off to a little bit of a hot start. I'm blanking on some other. Who else did they get in that deal? They
Um,
got James Wood. They got C.J. Abrams.
See, I think
So
CJ the big one.
yeah, yeah. As I didn't look into their card prices. I was more focused on the big name in the deal, but it's tough going to the Nationals. It's tough. I mean, we got to see these guys playing every day at the big league level, or just if James Wood continues to put up some big numbers, he's only 19 years old, so if he keeps putting up a few big, he's gonna be on everyone's radar.
But I
Because you
guess
got to when you're in Washington now, if they're breaking it all down, you got to fast track to the bigs, right? So
so
people
with
people want to see you accumulating stats in the 19 to 22-year-old range, and not when you're 26, 27 like Judge.
so if you look at CJ Abrams stuff, mid July to August is flat. Mid July to mid August is basically flat across the board for both his top 2019 Bowman draft Chrome. Definitely trending down over the last couple months and didn't have much of an impact with the trade. And same with the base variation of that same card.
Yeah, and you just hadn't seen enough of them at the big league level in San Diego. And now I wonder. I mean, you have to figure the Padres knew about Tatis. I mean, I'm pretty sure they did, of course, before the trade. But Abrams was a shortstop, so should be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Anything else from the trade deadline that has any kind of hobby impact?
No, I don't think so personally. At least not for several years. If some of these like middle of the road prospects blow up, and then all of a sudden the trade looks lopsided, but nothing that I'd speak at or I'm looking at now.
Okay. So we've been dancing around Tatis, during this conversation. So let's just talk about it now. So the news broke yesterday or 2 days ago that Tatis was caught with PEDs. He is suspended for 80 games, which will be roughly 50 games this year and 30 games to start next year. So he'll be back next June. There's all kinds of impact that this has. Can he appeal this, or is he just going to eat it?
I honestly don't know if you're allowed to appeal PED suspensions. I mean, he gave you the typical "I didn't know what I was putting in my body" speech.
Yeah,
So,
which I'm not.
you
I'm
know,
not buying that for a minute.
right. I mean, the problem is everyone says it, so you never know who's lying and who's not. I mean, I'm sure over the course of the history, people put stuff in that they don't know, but listen, everyone has access to stuff. Like they should. You have the ability to check on anything that you get treated with
You have
to
a
see if
team.
it's
You have a team
yeah.
medical. You have a
So
medical team with the team
right.
that
So
will never give you anything that will violate the substance. The PED rules.
yeah, I mean, listen. The funniest thing I saw yesterday was someone said the only thing going to save Tatis is if he gains 100 pounds and goes to the Boston Red Sox. It's the only way it's going to get him into the Hall of Fame. And he was mocking fun at David
David
Ortiz.
Ortiz. Yeah.
Yeah, who is the only person to ever beat testing positive and is still loved then in the Hall of Fame.
So that
But
begs the question that even if Tatis comes back next year and is in the same form, he's hitting 40 to 50 home runs a year, stealing 30 bases, hitting 285 to 300, but with this mark on his record and will not go to the Hall of Fame, how does that affect people's long-term collecting?
yeah,
Do people jump back on the bandwagon, or are people just dumping him and done forever?
well, I mean, for me, I'm getting rid of all of it when the time's right. I mean, I don't have a lot. I haven't. I've been outspoken, not a big Tatis fan, because I actually think he's had some pretty weird injuries even before this wrist thing that a 20 to 23-year-old just typically doesn't get. So I haven't been a big long-term Tatis guy. I'm certainly not now with the PED stuff. I don't want any part of that because I'm not, you can't be investing big bucks in a guy that might not go into the Hall of Fame. With that being said, though, he's probably going to still play at a very high level. He has a chance of taking the Padres to the playoffs every year, especially with the lineup currently constructed. So Is there still short-term value in Tatis? Yeah, I think there's going to be, for short-term flips or moving of his stuff. But you're going to have a lot of people that won't even touch him now. So you're going to have a few less eyeballs, few less bidders, few less people offering on him. So I think by default, to answer your question, is yeah, I think you're going to see a general decrease in his stuff.
Yeah,
Now, with that being said, all I've seen on Twitter is I can't wait till the offseason. I'm buying Tatis up like crazy. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think people are looking
Go
for.
for it.
I think people are
Yeah, they're
looking
looking
for the
for deals.
flips. Yeah.
Yeah, deals and flip it if he's still playing well.
I mean,
Because there'll still be people who buy him.
Because the weird part, I guess, about all this is his market took a shot up when they got Soto and then back down to when he got busted. So, like, if you look at his Topps Chrome PSA 10, it was, 270 at the end of July, popped up to 350 after the Soto deal, and then as soon as he got busted, it's back down to 250. So this thing was at 266 if you go all the way back to June, when he was hurt. So, it's interesting to see if this stuff stays flat or, whether or not people are going to start dumping it, now that this is the reality of this is going to set in.
Oh, the dump's happening. Pull up his 2016 Bowman Chrome, his first Bowman Chrome PSA 10. Bowman Chrome. I think the 1 year high on that card was over $1,000 in the last 365 days, and you'll see what the last prices were. It's got to be down over 50%, if not higher.
This is the auto.
No, yeah, to go non-auto. What are you looking them up on? Ladder?
On Market Movers. Is it Bowman? Oh. It's Bowman Chrome.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, it's not coming up. It's all autos when you look at Bowman Chrome.
I actually have it in front of me. So it's got a pop of 1473. Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that in front of me. In August of last year, it had a $1,200 sale. And the last sale on here recorded, and I've seen some lower, is $487, but I've actually seen buy it now is even lower than that. So it's gone from 12 to 487. And like I said, I think if you look on eBay right now, you can get it even lower than that, which is crazy.
So it's interesting. I'm looking at his 2016 Bowman Baseball Chrome Prospects card, and July it was selling for $400, and then it got all the way up to $513 August 9th, which would have been right before the PED, and then dropped off a little bit after to $487. There were two sales at $487.50 after the news broke.
That's what I'm talking about. I think you can get it even cheaper than that, and I think it's going to continue to trend down.
Let's look at the 365. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So last August, you were at a high of 1202. Yeah, the lowest this thing hit was 405 back in July before everything, and then it shot up on the trade deadline stuff. I mean, if you can get it lower than 400, I would buy. To be honest with you,
just because of its 12-month high.
Yep. Just if you look at the chart of all of it, there are people that are still going to be buying Tatis. Especially if, they're a full team for 80% of the season, and, the Padres are competing with the Dodgers for first place in the West, and they go to the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs. I think they're still, and Tatis is playing well. I think in today's society, I think that there is a good faction of baseball fans that overlook the PED stuff.
Wow, this is crazy. Yeah, so like I just said to you, you said the last one was 47. There's buy it now right now 349 OBO.
Or best offer, so I could even try to get it for less.
Yeah, 425 OBO. I think people are just trying to undercut and unload because they know what's coming, and they're willing to just cut their losses now, get the cash in hand, and do something better with it.
Dude,
But
if I could
to
offer,
your point, there will still be people buying. They're going to wait till the right time, and I do think his stuff will go back up in general. Just if you're buying to put it in a vault or a safe or on your shelf for 20 years, just know what you're buying and what you're getting it at.
dude, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, what do you need?
Offer that guy 250. If he takes it, we'll buy it.
He's not going to take 250.
If he's got 349 OBO, that means he's willing to listen to offers less than that. Either that or send me the link because you're a pussy and won't fucking lowball people, and I'll do it.
I mean, there's just no, other than the news, there's just no justification for offering that low. But it's sent, sir. You're going to get an automatic denial. I'll bet a dime you get an automatic denial.
Well, let's find out.
Although I can't really mock you because you've made some offers on things that I thought there was no shot we were getting, and we got them.
Yep. You don't know until you offer. He's got 2 available. His other one's available for 342.
That's if you buy 2. The price comes down per unit to that.
Which means he's willing to take less than 349 on a card.
Yeah, $7. I'm sure your 250 will slide right into his liking.
Don't know until you try. It's sent, not an automatic rejection. You owe me
I'm out of time.
guy.
All right.
Guy, I mean, for $250, I'll buy that card and sit on it for a year because I will mark my words. We could unload it for $500 or $600 next summer if he comes back and is hitting.
We'll see. I mean, the other question to keep, the other thing to keep in mind is how low will it end up going? If he takes this offer for 250, all of a sudden now you got a 250 comp on the books, and people are going to start coming way down on everything.
Then we buy another one for 150.
Oh my god!
All
right, well, go luck with that, sir.
Hey, this isn't for long term because we think he's going to the Hall of Fame. This is he comes back and hits 15 home runs in the first month.
Yeah, no, it's the perfect example of what we're talking about. It's still a longer time frame because you're gonna have to wait months to do this, but it's still a short term flip, that has some potential.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if he's hitting in the 2 hole, they have to pitch to him because they got Soto and Machado behind him. So he's gonna see pitches to hit, and that'll give him opportunities to either get on base and score or hit home runs. And if he comes back and hits 35 home runs in a shortened season, that card will go back easily to $600.
All right, we'll see. I mean, I have no doubt he's going to play at a big time level here, but let's see.
All right, we got a couple of other things. Let's stay with baseball, and then we're gonna switch. Before we do that, we'll do a quick look at Bill Russell. Bill Russell unfortunately passed away. Will go down as one of the best basketball players of all time. We're just going to take a quick...
They just retired his number league-wide.
Yeah, they retired his number league-wide. We'll take just a quick look at his cards in general to see, as crude as this is to say, whether or not there was a death bump, when he passed away, whether or not his cards went up in value. And we're looking at his 1957 Topps card, which is his rookie card. Obviously, back then there's no variations. We'll look at PSA 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, just to see if these have made any kind of moves. And honestly, not really. You have a little bit of bump on the 5, and back in June it was 11,000 and change. Last sale end of July, pretty much right when he passed, all the way up to 15,000. So that's a pretty significant bump. But if you look at his PSA 6, last sale on that before his passing was all the way last year at 22,000, and then just sold for 19 and change, which is mostly hobby correction, and not as a result of his passing. And then if you look at his PSA 4, that thing's been flat for basically the 2022 calendar year with all the sales. So not even though his death was relatively unexpected, there was not. It's a higher end market. His stuff is not cheap. So there's not a lot of people out there buying. So there wasn't a tremendous bump. He's already in the Hall of Fame. People have already known about him for obviously his rookie card. You're talking 22, 40, like 60 plus years ago. So there's no surprises here. So just rest in peace, Bill Russell. But unfortunately, there's no bump in the hobby for him.
Well, and the sad thing is people try to definitely capitalize on that. I'd love to know how many listings pre and then post there were.
Yeah, absolutely. But with his market, there's, I mean, we can look at some of the other stuff real quick as far as like 1961 Fleer, be cheaper than his rookie. Yeah, that's not coming back with anything. Let's see if there's anything else on Card Ladder. But yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing with Aaron when Hank Aaron passed. Yeah, so it looks like if you look at his 1961, that's a lot less money. It was 2,500 before he passed, and then it bumped all the way to 4,600 right when he passed, and then back down to 33 and change, which is basically where it's been roughly averaged out. So there was a little bit of a bump on some of this stuff in the lower end tier of pricing, and then at some point it'll probably correct and get back to where it was. So if you have Bill Russell and we're looking to sell it, you may have missed the window, but some of this stuff is still selling for higher. So if you're looking to get rid of it, now would be the time, because as more time passes, the prices will eventually regulate themselves back to where they were. All right, more freaking baseball. So don't worry for all those that are waiting for football. We will, when we record the second episode, that is going to be 75% football. We're doing a massive buy sell hold on football in the second episode, so you have to wait until next week. But we will get there. So we have two more things to talk about, and unfortunately, they are baseball.
God, it's such a Debbie Downer on baseball.
I hate fucking baseball. It's so boring. Anyway, this is why the people want you to be solo, because I'm so negative, and it's not a safe space. All right, so Aaron Judge, 46 home runs, 100 RBIs as of today. Obviously, we have almost half a season to go. He is on historical pace. Does the hobby care? He's a Yankee. So walk us through some of his highlight cards, and is this going to push him into the stratosphere of the elite? Well, it used to be 3, but now with Tatis being on the shelf, is he going to be in the conversation with Ohtani and Vlad and Soto as far as the popularity of his cards and the pricing?
I mean, I think he already is in terms of the pricing. Of all the things we've been talking about over the last few weeks that are just kind of flat and staying still, Aaron Judge's cards are all up across the board. They've been trending up all year long. And now with all the talk of him potentially breaking, the Yankee record and Maris and chasing the 61, I think there's so much hype around that his stuff is really high.
So
yeah, which one are you looking at?
I'm just looking at his Topps Chrome base.
Yeah.
So his Topps Chrome base back in April when the season started was $43. Last sale was $189.50.
Yep.
So you're talking 4x on just his base card. Let's look at.
I mean, yeah, you got a couple factors here. The Yankees got off to a crazy start and were ridiculously hot. And then the only thing hanging over this whole thing is, while I still think he'll probably be a Yankee, there's still a shot he's not a Yankee after this year. So I don't know how that's going to affect Yankee fans holding this stuff or people buying, because from a long-term perspective, he's going to be 31 on opening day next year. So, and I keep talking about how there's going to be this correction in Hall of Fame metrics. So, Judge is going to have to do this for a bunch more years, in my opinion, to get himself into the Hall, even though his career numbers probably won't reflect those that are already there.
So his Topps Chrome auto started the season at $280, which is crazy cheap. And then last sale back in July was $1,100.
This is the PSA 10?
Yeah. So that's basically 4X. And then if you look at his Topps Chrome refractor, that's the weird part about his auto market. His auto market was way down at the beginning of the season. Same as is basically same price as the refractor. His refractor was 120-ish in March and April. Last sale on that is 400 roughly, 395. So you're talking 3.5x
right
on that. So his stuff, I didn't think it was
listen,
up that
since
much.
his 52 home runs in his rookie year 2017, he's been kind of just average to above average player, and he's been hurt a lot. I mean, we're talking 27 home runs the year after that, 27 home runs the year after that, 9 in the COVID shortened season. He regained a little more form because he stayed a little more healthy. He had 39 the year after that. Nothing eye popping per se, with his stuff, but all of a sudden, this year is eye popping. So people are recognizing.
So the question becomes, so the Yankee record for home runs is obviously 61 with Maris?
Correct.
All right. So I guess the question becomes, is there room? Like if he all of a sudden breaks the Yankee home run record, will this then shoot up another X percent?
I mean, because it's the Yankees and they're going to be in the playoffs, and if he breaks that record in regular season, steaming into the playoffs, and they knock off a few wins, I think there's room still. I think you still got to be selective, though. I would 100%. If I'm looking to get in on Aaron Judge right now, I'm doing some serious homework, looking for the best deals possible on him, because the growth you've just demonstrated on some of those cards is pretty significant. So makes you wonder how much more can you get on off the bone there.
So the question that I have for you is, which cards would you look at then?
I mean, I'd have to deep dive it, but I don't know off the top of my head. I actually, as the big Yankee fan as I am, I don't collect Aaron Judge. I'm not a fan of guys starting at 26, 27 years old if I'm going to keep them long term, because their career numbers just won't make me happy when I'm holding their card a long time from now. And the other thing I've learned in a lot of other guys and girls will know it worse than I do, but the Yankees seem to always trade away guys. I mean, granted, the people Castro trade away haven't really come into anything, but ever since the core four, there hasn't been a guy that I've been crazy about collecting and holding long term, because I wasn't convinced they were going to stick around. So a lot of other teams feel that pain. They collect the guy, and all of a sudden, boom, they're in a trade for Soto. And like now they're not on your team anymore. So
just looking at it from a pop standpoint, you can look at his 2017 Topps Chrome Prism refractor PSA 10. The pop on that's $294. Last sale was $404, which isn't awful. And his
but you can sell home that low pop if you're trying to flip them in a month or two.
Yeah, and then his Topps Chrome refractor, the pop on that's $758, and the last sale on that is $370. Which also is not awful. So if those are outside your budget, I mean, look at PSA 9s. PSA 9s are, a lot less money, and you're looking at like stuff in the 150 range. So if you are looking to get a piece of Aaron Judge, the three, I guess, parallels that I would look at: negative refractor, prism refractor, and then just the regular refractor. The pops on those are all low on PSA 9s and 10s, and the prices are reasonable.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, that's where you got to live and stuff like that. I don't want, as much as I love some of these guys in the 2018 class. I don't want things that have a 5K pop. And I just don't feel right about spending big bucks on something that I can see multiple of every day.
Yeah, and 2017 wasn't a huge popular set. I mean, you may be able to get some boxes and rip some of this stuff raw, or buy it raw. I mean, the grading, the gem rate on Topps Chrome parallels like negative and refractor is pretty high. So you also may be able to buy some of that stuff raw, get it graded for cheap, and be sitting on something that you can turn into some money.
Yeah, and the other thing you do some homework on is look at your secondary grading 9.5. Look at your SGC 9.5s, your HGA 9.5s, your CSG 9.5s. There's probably some good deals on those things and some opportunity there, because if people are going to chase the card in a month or two and you came in under it, people have all sorts of plans to do with your secondary slab. So
Guy, we've banned the use of HGA on this podcast, so
we did. I didn't get that
it's
memo.
very upsetting that you brought that
Oh,
up.
speaking of people I spoke to, I did speak with the HGA guys at National, sir.
Oh God,
I said hello for you to them.
I'm sure you did.
They were they want to talk to you.
Yeah, have him call me. All right, let's close this up. We got one more thing to talk about: the return of Dr. Bunk.
Uh,
Um,
which guy?
it's been a
Mikey?
while. It's been a while since we've talked injuries. For those of you that are new to the podcast, Bunk is a licensed physical therapist, so he actually knows what he is talking about in regards to injuries. Um, we'll stick to baseball and let's talk Mike Trout. They came out and said he had a fairly significant back injury, and he has said that it's not as bad as everybody thinks. So walk us through what the injury is, how long you think he's going to be out, and whether or not it's going to impact his value.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple articles are talking about rare condition and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it's not crazy rare. I mean, this kind of thing. Now, listen, it might be rare in a baseball player. Maybe they just were, getting clicks by not explaining that to you. But he's got something called Castro vertebral dysfunction. Without going into the weeds of it, you got 12 thoracic vertebrae, you got 12 ribs, and those ribs attach to something, and that's on the vertebrae. Each of the ribs attaching your back. So the junction in which that rib attaches to the spine, there's either some abnormal movement, inflammation, whatever's going on there, and he's in pain. So as you can imagine, with the things like swinging and that constant twisting action, it's giving him some pain. You generally see this more in contact sports, though, honestly. But it is pretty. It can be prevalent in certain repetitive overuse type scenarios. So whether that's just the daily swinging and I don't know how many reps he takes and that sort of thing, but baseball's you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and unless you're a switch hitter, you're swinging in the same direction over and over and over again, and things can break down a little bit. Long term, he's going to be fine. Is it something he's going to have to manage every year till he's done so that he can stay healthy and pain free and play? Absolutely. He's absolutely going to have to do things so that it doesn't keep flaring up on him.
So this is not a career ender.
No, it's not a career ending. I mean, it's only career ending if he does nothing. He makes no activity modifications to help control the pain symptoms. So it could be something as simple as things he's doing with weights in the gym, or some of the crazy training regimens he might have to stay in shape. They'll identify 2 or 3 things that are just putting abnormal stresses in that area, and they'll change them. And he'll stay strong in other ways and limit the impact at the site at which he's having that pain. So I expect it to have no long-term effect on his ability. It's just it's going to come down to him. How much change does he have to make in his preparation in order to stay game ready? There's no indications over his career that he's not going to do those things. So yeah, I think it's a little overblown. I think it's serious. I think like I said, he's got to do things to make sure he can play and play at a high level. But those tools should be available to him to play well, and not keep going on the DL with it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So if you look at his card,
his updates cut in half.
Oh yeah.
Since 1 year ago, I can tell you that.
Well, if you look at it in May of this year, last sale, or the sale in May was 3,000. Last sale, August 9th, was 1737. So his stuff was trending down even before that, which is interesting considering the fact that he's hitting 270 with 24 home runs this year. So,
And he was playing well.
yeah, he was playing well. So the fact that his cards are going down is interesting. But
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of falling in line with everyone else, but yeah, they've definitely been trending down. So no, but he's a guy who, provided he continues playing, he's going to have sick career numbers, and he's on the, if not already in, a Hall of Fame track. So if you're following his cards closely and you're seeing all these trends down, you may be starting to think about pulling the trigger on some long-term pieces here.
even if you look at his higher end stuff that has much lower pops, all that stuff is flat or down.
Yeah, and that's usually not the case. So that's interesting. Usually, every all these top guys, the scarcity is still riding high, but that's interesting on him if you're seeing that.
If you look at his diamond anniversary, pop on that is 312. January it was at 28.25. I'm sorry, January it was 12,700. Last sale 10,200. So not as much of a percent drop off, but still down overall.
That's still a couple $1,000 if I spent on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean that's one that, like, if that's something you got high end, you got the money to you got it now with the pop of that low. It's not like you can keep an eye on it for too long. They're not going to come up that often. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're in the higher end market for Trout, they say he's going to take batting practice on yesterday, or they said Saturday, or sometime soon.
All personal reports from him are, I'm coming back this year. I'm good. We're managing it. Won't be an issue. Like I said, they're going to make changes to his off-season workout, and they'll remove those stresses there. And while it'll always be a possibility, I think they can manage it fine.
All right, fair enough. All right, episode 1 in the books. Anything else you'd like to add for the fine folks?
No, sir. Good to be back.
All right, absolutely good to be back. We'll get this posted here shortly. And yeah, we're going to come back and, as we said, record a second episode right now. That'll air on the 20th. So yeah, you'll get 2 episodes this week. One will drop today, Sunday the 14th, and then one will drop next Saturday, the 20th, and then hopefully we're back to regularly scheduled programming, episodes dropping every Saturday. All right.